Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London, and today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from Waterside Press, Putting Justice into Words. It's another important book in their series of works on criminology. This one is called Journey to Release, and it's got the subtitle Counselling in a UK Prison. It's been written by Mo Smith, who has a lot of experience in this area, and it has the assistance of Toni Close. I've given it the title, Elizabeth and I talked about the book, and I've given it a title for our review, A Sad Book of Reality for Our Confused Current Penal Policy, which remains rudderless and without direction. Now that's a fairly hard-hitting title, but the reason for that is because the penal policy we have in this country is a complete mess and has been for some time, and nothing much is being done about it. So these books are of some help. Let me show you the book first. It's a very slim paperback. There it is. There's the front. Then you can see the side and you can probably make out a bit of what's on the back there. It doesn't run to very many pages, 136 odd. The index at the back, short index by page numbering. At the front you've got the front page there. And then after that you've got some blurb about the book, and then you've got the table of contents. You can see that fairly clearly. There are 9 chapters in total. There's an afterword, and then there's further reading, which is the bibliography, and then an index. Some detail about the authors there, very experienced people. Then acknowledgements, and then it talks about the prison itself. It's a prison without a specific name. It's Category C prison. And then they're forward by the governors, which is very helpful as well. You can see that the various governors, you can see that the type is quite spread out, and it makes it reasonably easy to read, and you can see some information there. I don't want to spoil the book too much. Then there's an introduction, and then the book runs through. There are some shaded areas which give you an idea of some of the factual problems that are involved, which counsellors have to deal with. Now, this is what we say about the book. The aimless drifting continues with penal policy, and it's so well explored in this book, Journey to Release, which comes to us from Waterside Press, who are literally putting justice into words here. And the book gives us a sobering account from Mo Smith's extensive experience counselling and coordinating a counselling service inside what is called HM Prison X, so we don't get any specific names. It's not easy reading for the uninitiated, but fascinating for the criminologist in our view. Smith, with the help of Toni Close, gives us a history of the service from their own extensive knowledge and experience of the way it's currently working or not working, depending upon your point of view. Their approach is to look at what is involved in a project of this sort, which rightly describes the book as a must for prison professionals and volunteers everywhere. And I'll be repeating a bit of that as we go through the review, because Journey to Release also gives the reader an insight into the running of an embedded prison counselling service and those who use it. Now, Mo Smith's account is first-hand and highly recommended as across the service for any person wishing to learn about the subject in more detail, whether that's as an interested individual, reader, or a criminologist. And I'll mention, as I say, a bit more about that as well, because I think it will be of interest to those members of the prison service. That includes volunteers or potential volunteers, or counselling organisers and providers, plus those from relevant external agencies, because Smith and Close point out, quote, once a prisoner is released from HMPX, there is no further contact. So the authors emphasise the importance of counselling that survives the prison setting and thus helps to reduce crime in the future. You can see the problem of that, because when they are released, they're back out in the open, having been in what is actually an institution. So you can see that there are bound to be problems. The same problems in the armed services, of course, with people leaving the forces and going into a very different type of community from what they were used to. We found the book very easy to read and most thought-provoking, because what we've got here is that Smith and Close also consider the book to be of interest, as I say, to those existing counsellors and volunteers in a range of other settings in the United Kingdom and of course other jurisdictions, and it's based on practical experience throughout, and you can see that with the shaded box areas and the information that's given, and it centres on counselling as its main theme rather than the heavier areas such as psychology, mental health issues including intervention and assessment, which are really for basically another type of publication. Let me conclude by saying this. The work is rightly described as an invaluable explanation of the nuts and bolts of counselling in prison, because it examines the challenges facing counsellors working with incarcerated clients. That's the basis of the book. And of course, of great help and interest is the inclusion of disguised prisoner histories, contributions from governors, other members of staff, counsellors and clients. So you've got a reasonable picture throughout. The authors present their case in an attractive, easy to read format, as I've indicated, which is very much the house style of the Waterside Press publications, and we think it will be a great companion for the applied criminologist's future studies and researches, especially as at some stage there will have to be a very serious review of where we're going. When you're looking at the costs involved and the numbers of people now inside prison, there really has got to be some fundamental re-look in the 2020s as to what we're doing. And the book was published on the 6th of September 2017, so I'm recording this actually a year later. It's taken me a little while to get round to it, but it's a very good book. There's the front again, there's the spine, and then there's the back. Just opening it in the middle, you can see here, this is a quote. I'll give it. You can see it there. It says, "Counselling really helped me see my life. It was scary, but very worthwhile." In other words, they're given advice, and you can see there are some diagrams, and then there's for our clients, and that talks about the people they are counselling. Now, it's not an area that's for a lot of people is very comfortable, but I thought it was a good book, and I'm very grateful to Waterside Press for producing it. So a big thank you to all concerned. Bye bye.